to Geekism and welcome to Archer Park. This is my mini-series that will hopefully take us to the launch of Planet Coaster 2 and is my little love letter to Planet Coaster 1. This is a mini park in both scale and physical size, as you can probably tell. And we're going to have a lot of fun just putting some stuff down, enjoying ourselves, not really sticking to any sort of theme or budget or style, and just kind of having fun with it. The only thing I would really love to do is have each episode in this series kind of lean into one of the packs or the moments we had from Planet Coaster through the years of the game. And whilst we won't stick to specifically only using stuff from that pack in that episode, we'll try and sort of evoke the feel of that pack, if nothing else. So I got this idea from Mass Bandit's awesome series Brazos Square, in which he did a 50 by 50 park for one summer. 50 by 50, they are rookie numbers. You've got to shrink those numbers down. We're going to do 30 by 30. And what I mean by 30 by 30 is it's 30 floor tiles by 30 floor tiles. So it's actually 120 meters squared, which is 14400. How do you say that? 14400 meters squared, which is 155,000 square feet. About 3% of the Magic Kingdom is what we're working with in this park, and it's going to be a squeeze. I want to try and get multiple coasters in here, and again, lots of references to Planet Coaster through the years. So we're going to start off. Strong. We're going to build a Woody. So the other big thing I want to do with this park is try a different style of recording process and actually do something that Mike Sheets, or N7, you may know him has often done in his park series, and where he builds for an hour and then shows you where the progress is, and just does that for as many hours as you can stomach, I imagine. I'm not sure. So that's what I did. This actually was a little longer than an hour. Okay, I'll say this once. I'll say it twice. I'll say it a bajillion times. I'm not a coaster builder. Pinewood Hills, I think, ended up with 0 coasters built by me. They ended up, even the ones I did build, ended up getting rebuilt by somebody else. So yeah, none of these are by me. This one is by me, though, and it is fine for what we're doing. I wanted a sort of classic sort of GCI style Woody, one big drop, loads of twisting turns back into the station. Obviously, we are incredibly limited by the size we're playing with here, and a Woody is a ridiculous idea unless you wanted to do like a real tight figure of 8, Woody. That would have been fine, but I wanted something that really sort of sprawled and sort of set the landscape of the park up. So yeah, we have this absolute monstrosity. I don't think it's terrible. I built with a relatively short track and spent a lot of time smoothing, and we've got some nice curves over here, but I'm sure coaster people are looking at this and screaming like, oh, this would never happen and that would never happen, but it looks the part for me, and that's all I really care about. So the only thing I want to really talk to you about is, yes, it does take up a lot of space, but we're going to be really using the most of the space in this park. So around the back here, we probably won't get anything, although I will say a coaster will fit. Like, we could have another type of coaster just come around the back and just come past here. Well, I don't know if that'll happen or not, but we do have this area here, which will definitely be able to be used space-wise, and then this area at the back as well, definitely be able to use space-wise. So we are going to be taking the path a couple of places here. I've actively done this on purpose here to get through. Everything up until this curve I'm actually quite happy with. This probably will change a little bit just as we really figure out where the queue ends up. But overall, I don't hate how it looks. It's not. It might be my best work. I don't know. I'm not good at coasters. It's not anybody else's best work, but it'll do. All right. So today, the area I really want to work on is this one here, and I want to do a real sort of classic, like almost alpha Planet Coaster style build here. But first of all, I need to lay down, get a ride. I'd like to get a ride in here and a few stalls. So let's see what we can fit in this relatively small space. Okay, I'll let guests in because this place is pretty small. I don't feel like we should have much of a problem with guests coming into the place. There's already nearly 400 of them in here just for this one ride, which is good. That was for screenshots, so we'll delete that. Started just placing some of the facilities. We have an information booth here that will kind of double up as a ride pictures place, I suppose, because this is the entrance to the park right here. So, we kind of need a few bits of organization as people enter, even though this is also the exit for the ride. I don't know if we can squeeze anything here, maybe, but then the majority of the sort of entrance stores and what have you will be on this side with then rides behind it. So we filled that all in, placed in a little Planet Coaster. This is a bit of a placeholder, but I want something there, and I also want to kind of lean in, like I said, I want to kind of lean into the history of Planet Coaster and use all of these sort of ridiculous reference points that we don't normally use because they're a bit bulky and a bit big and a bit too themed. So I actually really love this piece. I think it's awesome. It's just a shy big, but I don't hate it. I don't know if it's going to end up here because it really does sort of break up the eye line of what we're working with, but I would like to try and use it somewhere. Down here we've put a toilet and a first aid, which we'll look at getting boxed in so that it's not on the back of the queue there. And then over here, another block of a food and drink with Chief Beef. And then over here, I did quite a bit before I realised I hadn't recorded. But they all know we're going to play for an hour. That's the thing, right? We're going to play for an hour and show you what I've done. So this is an hour's worth of play. I also put down some gift stores here, Hats Fantastic and Looney Balloons, and just started boxing in what it's going to look like. And we'll talk about more of the buildings in a moment. But here we have our main ride, which is the Bellow. I'm not actually sure what this thing is called. The Aeronauts, that's good. But we're going to rename that Bellow. Bellew, which is Planko for balloons. So there is a whole Planko language, if you don't know. If you Google Learn Planko, I forget what the actual address is, but there is a whole website that teaches you the language of Planet Coaster. James Stant, one of the audio, I don't actually know what his real title is, I'm sorry, but James Stant, who works at Frontier, put together a whole Planko language, and it's basically a one-for-one language with English, and it's a lot of fun going and looking up on words, and we did a little bit of it in Pinewood as well. So this is called Bellow, and we've kept the stuff very generic here. And again, whilst I'm trying to evoke original Planet Coaster, the sort of OG game, I'm not going to not tie myself up by not using things like TMTK a little bit, maybe pieces that don't come with the base game or what have you, but for the most part I've tried to sort of evoke the feel of the original Planko, which was, we did a lot of playing, we were really starting to figure out the realistic vibes. We have chain link where it needs to be. This will probably all get pebbled in. We covered up these big things here, and then there is a chain. This is a TNTK fence, but I feel like it's very evocative of the game. Like we had this one in the launch that we've used here as well, but I really like this chain here, and we've just done this little sort of switchback area that staff can enter to get to the ride access, and we're going for a European vibe as far as safety measures is concerned. This wouldn't hold up in North America, but in Europe it's fine. Just a bit of chain and the idea that your visitors aren't going to be morons. So that's what we've got here, and I think this is really cute. It's a little janky, but I kind of love it, and it's just a way to get up there. And we've also had to fake the size of the ride here a little bit. We've sort of shrunk it down, as you can see from here. All of this is actually the ride pad. So what we did was just take it in using the invisible path, and it means we can put these flower beds here with some hedging, and it just makes the ride a little shorter. Like all this under here is actually ride path. And we've just managed to shrink it down with hedges just to pull it in a little bit, and it means we can tuck it right up into that coaster there, and we have some nice interaction with the coaster swinging around it. So I think it looks really good. I'm happy with the colour scheme. It's the game's colour scheme, but it's all bright and pretty inoffensive, so we're going to stick with that. And then the entrance here is just on the side of this building. Now, not super happy with this building. I like the where we're going with the sort of Alpine-y theme, but I think it's a bit short. I might look at bringing them forward and bringing the building back a little bit. I think that's probably what we're going to do the next hour. And is this maybe too close to the ride? Most probably, definitely, but whatever. It looks fine. Again, realistic as far as coasters work, I'm not really too fussed on this part because we are so limited with space. We're just going to have to real butt up stuff against each other, and that's fine. And then here I started just working on what the base of the coaster will look like using those awesome TMTK pebbles that I'm obsessed with, and a little bit of foliage. I just did this bit. Basically, I sent a screenshot of like this to somebody and was like, is this a thing? Does this look okay? So that's why all this is had foliage and nothing else. Okay, so this building then I want to be very reminiscent of the sort of OG Planco, the stuff we got in like right back in Alpha, I think, even when one of the first wall sets we got was this sandstone. And you know what, I really like this. It's maybe a little highly themed, so we didn't use it much. I don't think it's recolorable either, so you are sort of stuck with this brownie color. But this is actually one of the most fleshed out wall sets in the game. It comes with like a really nicely decorated wall. It comes with trim pieces, and it, you just don't end up using it much because of how sort of themed it is. Or I didn't end up using it much because of how themed it is, and how large some of the sort of pieces that go with it, such as this doorway, or where's the this thing? There's like big, chunky bits of stone. It was difficult to find a real use for it, but I'm a big fan of it. So we're going to try and incorporate it into this building here, along with the adobe. A wall that I actually think this came later. I don't think this was part of the original set. Let's have a look. Main game. Yeah, did this come with? It wasn't Adventure. Was it World's Fair? Yeah, so this is actually a World's Fair set. But again, I think it kind of goes well with this stone, and it evokes the original sort of building we had, which I think stucco we had. But also it has these awesome like built-in details here that I just never used, and I want to use it. As simple as that. This park is just going to be fun for me to mess around with and occupy myself until Planco 2. So that's it. We're going to keep this as an Alpine style building to sort of tie it into the balloons and the wooden coaster a little bit, but then I would like this to just be a bit more of a random little thing that just sits to one side and is a bit stucco and a bit piratey, maybe with some very light theming. We have a little spot here that is perfect for a tree. I think we'll stick a tree in there. Alright, there we go then. Let's do another hour. First things first, added a big old tree there. Very happy with it. Looks great. Big old tree. And then I spent most of my hour on this building here, and doing exactly what I said, basically pulling it out further, and because of that I needed to redo pretty much all of this queue line here, so it took a little longer than I was hoping it would, but I still am very happy with the results. I feel like the building is much more grounded now, and really ties itself into the space a bit better. So we've gone for a Hats Fantastic sign out here. Again, very rarely use all these signs, and they're kind of awesome. And yes, they're a little big. Like the smallest one is a little big, but I think as long as you sort of ground it in the space, it doesn't look too bad. I actually think that looks pretty good. And also the sort of style of hat with the feather goes well with the sort of slight alpine-y theme to the building. Yeah, I think it looks fine just there. We've also got a beer menu. This is a TMTK piece. It's obviously they don't sell beer. I just think it looks really good in that space. It's a really nice design. And we've got another one over here. So I thought with this building, it was just like a big sheer face here where the queue line was. And I thought, well, why don't we have another counter so as that people in the line could buy things, maybe even buy drinks or something perhaps from here. Like very often or not in real theme parks, the stores themselves don't just sell one thing, right? They do a little bit of everything. That was kind of my thinking here. But then, this ride doesn't really get the queue that they expected, so it just gets shut up. I don't know. That's kind of the little history I was thinking there. And it just sort of gives an explanation for this space being a little bit more open. And you can just see where the path actually ends and the texture comes in, but, at a glance, you don't notice it. And I think it really sits into the build now more, and it's got purpose and it's grounded. And then the other thing I really did was then start working on the path through here to what will be another area that we can play with later on. So we've used some iron. The iron beams are from the base game. I think these little bits of trim are from Vintage, but again, just kind of starting to make that look a little cuter for when people go under it. And yeah, didn't get around to this, although this is one thing I did do, and I wanted to show you that before I really carried on. I removed the buildings from here, and I repurposed this end one as a restroom. So this was originally 2 drinks places, I think, but I've placed in a restroom instead, turned it to the side, because very often restrooms will have their doors sort of facing away, so you don't just like see into the bathrooms, give people a bit of privacy. And the reason I've done that is I think we could get a ride in here. I think we might be able to get a car ride in here. And I've never done a car ride. There isn't one in Pinewood, although Pinewood is the perfect place for one. And I've really enjoyed looking at everyone else's. I'll be honest with you, I think my favourite ever thing built in Planet Coaster, full stop, is the car ride in No Name Landia. It's incredible. Recently, Redline has put one into kind of a slopes, and that's also awesome. And I love how it just sort of trickles alongside a coaster and has, I love the idea that the car ride's excitement comes from the fact that it's near another exciting ride. I just think that's really good fun. So we're going to see if I can... I'm not going to do the whole car ride in this episode, obviously, but I'm just going to see if I can start getting a bit of track down here, and it'll help us sort of finish off the rest of the space. But then again, my main thing this next hour is that I want to get this building here, this sort of Adobe light piratey kind of market stall looking thing. There you go. That was a nice, concise description, wasn't it? Again, I just want to try and use some of the pieces I've never used before. Look at these things with the wood sticking out of them. How awesome are those? This feels very Blackpool to me, this building. The fact that it's sort of sitting up with the coaster struts on top of it, and it's just a little out of place, and it doesn't really match the themes around it. I don't know, it feels very Blackpool to me, but I had a lot of fun building this, trying my hardest to use some of the larger stuff that, again, we wouldn't normally do, and just little things like this. This has a wall piece in it with this window built in. It's so good. It's an actual window. I've just put a sign behind there so it's lit when it goes dark, which is good fun. And yeah, we got the Chief Beef sign here. There's a wheel behind it to sort of just ground it a little. We've got some signs sunk in here: burgers, drinks, snacks, and coffee. And then we do have Chief Beef. That's a Chief Beef. This is a milkshake one, a Cosmic Cow, but I've put a little bit of light Chief Beef in there. You can't read it. It's just so that at a glance it all sort of ties in a little bit more. We put the Chief Beef sign here. This is an awesome a TMTK item here, the Chief Burger. We've just attached it to that pirate sign with some barrels behind it. Again, that's about the level of theming you're going to get from me for the most part, unless I'm really leaning into a theme. Like I said, Meanderville is going to be the complete opposite of this. It's all going to be very highly themed and decorated. So I'm still sort of holding on to the last stretches of light theming. But this was a lot of fun. Again, this wall piece with the window in it is one of them. So we've sunk in some stuff here. Chief Beef merchandise available here. Where the meat. I shared this on Bro Nation. Everyone got a little creeped out by it. I was kind of happy about that. Oops, I did not mean to delete that. What I did mean to do is go in, because I just noticed that t-shirt. There we go. It's just clipped into the wall a little bit. There we go, much better. So that's a TMTK piece. It's really great. So again, I'm not against using TMTK. To make it work. I'm just happy with it. Last thing I didn't mention last time, with all of this building, we did have to wriggle the queue line around, so it's a little funky here. They queue up with this wood here, but I don't think it's out of the realms of reality. I wouldn't have this here if I could help it. Unfortunately, that it is covering up one of those. But it's a little janky. But again, if this for some reason this thing existed and people were building it in a tiny space here, that's the sort of thing they would have to figure out. So so really we've just worked on this area here, these the Alpine building and the piratey Adobe building. Happy with both of those. Obviously really happy with this. I just like the generic theming of this. And then I did spend a long time on this, just about managed to squeeze this thing in. This is going to take a lot of work. This will be episode 2. We'll be working on this. We're going to have to sort of build a retaining wall here, which is fine. I think that'd be quite nice, though, for the queue line to sort of see the cars coming around. And again, here we're going to have to be a little clever with how the coaster supports settle into it. But in the middle, we can have a little bit of greenery, and a lot of the sort of fun of the ride will just be the interaction with both the path that we have here and the coaster as it pulls back into the station. So. I'm happy with that. That'll be next episode. We'll work on the car ride, and then also we need to work on the station / entrance area. This building here most likely will get tied into the station, so this will all be sort of one building here, and we'll probably go for a classic woody station, just a sloped roof with supports down. Keep it classic, keep it fun. Keep it light and easy. This again is just a fun little project to sort of take a look back at the history of Planet Coaster, use some of the pieces that we've never used before, reminisce a little. So next episode, Spooky Pack, was the first one to come out. I'm not necessarily going to be building a spooky ride, but I will definitely be using a lot of spooky planks and what have you on the wooden structure here, and we'll box out the car ride a little. Maybe we can even make it a little spoopy. We'll put some gravestones in the track or what have you. Let me know what you think of this one. Let me know if you're looking forward to seeing some more before we wait for Planet Coaster 2. Let me know what you think about the recording style as well, doing the sort of cuts in between building rather than time lapses. I feel like my commentary can be a little bit more purposeful, whereas with time lapses you're often just trying to fill the air while you're doing something, whereas here I can say, here's what I did, here's what I want to do, and I kind of like that. But yeah, no need to comment on whether or not the coaster's realistic or not. I know it isn't. That's fine. We're just going to work forward with that kind of thing. But everything else, I would love to hear some feedback. Yeah, hopefully episode 2 of this later in the week. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Love you all to bits. Until the next one, be good.